So the more they delay and the warmer it gets, we're gonna have a stronger presence. So instead of having 15, 16 uniforms in the court, it might be 30 or 40. It might not be no room for us. They're gonna have so many of them in the court. But anyway, at this time, let's hear from the attorney at war.
No justice. No peace. No peace. No peace. Justice. 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 Now. Now. Now.
Help the person next to you and tell them I'm especially thankful for all of you being here, and I'm particularly thankful for our young people.
Yes.
Can we do a mic check?
And those.
Can we do a mic check so people could hear that back on the back too? Do you mind?
Yeah.
Okay. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm especially thankful.
I'm especially thankful.
You can't hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, hold on, brother.
It's for you.
I understand that at certain rallies they do the mic check, but our folks, we communicate in a different kind of rhythm. Now we can appreciate what they do, and I know what they do, because sometimes they have such large crowds that when they do that, that's an effective way of communication. But for these purposes here today, you know, we operate in an African rhythm.
There you go.
And in that African rhythm, everybody gonna hear Alton. If you don't hear Alton, then don't worry about it. Just raise your hand, and he'll, you know, tape his speech to make sure everybody hears. So we're gonna operate without the mic check. Go on, brother.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm really thankful for the youth, because it takes me back to the time when I was being oriented towards the practice of law. And that's a very important time. I was talking to a lawyer who I know very well, and he was telling me that he did not have the passion for the law that I have. And I told him that maybe it was different circumstances, because I grew up in the Jim Crow South, and where it was regularly accepted to lynch anybody who did not accept or embrace white supremacy. And so out of that, I had a deep resentment for white supremacy and for Jim Crowism, and I really committed myself as a child, as young as you, that one day I would be a part of that army to demolish and smash this.
Yes.
And so I think you have to be all right. And so, given that, I can recall, because I was in the Jim Crow South, education wasn't like many of you think, because I was actually reading newspapers before I was 5 years of age. And so I kept up with current events and things that were taking place. And one of the things that really struck my memory and committed my memory to understanding how Jim Crowism can be very dangerous is the lynching of Mary Turner.
That's right.
Now, if you're not aware of that particular lynching, you should Google it. And of course, when I was going to school, we didn't know anything about Googling. So I'm a little bit outdated. But Mary Turner was lynched in Georgia.
That's right.
And she went to the sheriff's office to complain about the absence of her husband.
Right.
And they didn't care. And she found out that the sheriff had been a part of a posse that actually removed him from the face of the earth.
That's right, killed him.
And so she decided to make a complaint, and she told the sheriff that she was going to go outside of that county and to complain. Well, that night, the sheriff and his posse visited her and pulled her out of the apartment or the room or the building that she was in and took her to the highest Georgia pines and set a fire and then lynched her. As she was being lynched, they noticed that she was pregnant.
That's right.
And so some members of the mob said, does anybody have a knife to slit her stomach? And when they slit her stomach, the baby fell into the fire.
That's right.
And the members of the mob said, stop him until he died. And that is one of the major memories that I have that really inspired me from that age. And it happened really because my uncle had been to an NAACP convention, and the lynching of Mary Turner was very important to the NAACP, and it was in their journal. And so from that day on, I committed myself in a way that I really did not understand, and that's why when you say that you went to Mr. Muhammad's school, in my opinion, Mr. Muhammad, in my opinion, was the wisest black man in my generation, Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And I remember him saying, the Negro is deaf, dumb, and blind. And I heard that as I was in a taxi cab going to Howard University, the capstone of Negro education. And so as I was in this cab riding to Howard University, this was the first I ever heard Mr. Muhammad. Because in the Jim Crow South, it was censorship. So there were people that we could not hear. And that was one voice that we could not hear. So when this man said, Negroes are deaf, dumb, and blind, I said, wait a minute. I mean, I'm getting ready to go to the capstone of Negro education. I mean, is he saying that all of these people at Howard University are deaf, dumb, and blind? And I said, well, you know, I don't care what happens, that bothers me. The idea that Negroes are deaf, dumb, and blind. But then later on, he said something else that was very important. And something else I remember. And it really has inspired my life. He said that 3 things the white man would never teach the Negro. The science of mating, which is very important. The science of business, which is very important. And the science of war. And that's really what this is all about. That's what this whole life is about. I don't care whatever you decide to do in life, there are 3 things that you must understand in order to be able to confront this system. And that is having a knowledge of the science of mating, a knowledge of the science of business, and a knowledge of the science of war. Because they all have a common thread. And it is out of that particular teaching that has enabled me to have a wider perspective on this world. Now we're here today about Arizona. And the media has defined the Arizona case as a chokehold death. That's what the media has defined it. But you see, there was one thing that we were taught in slavery and what we must reject today. Because much of our miseducation comes out of our slave teaching. And one of those teachings, one of those fallacies, is the idea that the slave master taught us that curiosity killed the cat. Curiosity killed the cat.
Satisfaction more than
All
that.
right. And so, as a result of that, nobody was dealing with satisfaction bringing it back. Because that was what the slave master said. The slave master said, curiosity killed the cat.
Never be curious, boy.
Period. End of story. Now, why that is important is because in this world, you got to always be curious about everything that happens. You got to ask questions because there are questions to be raised by everything that happens in this world. So when somebody tells you that Eric Garner died from a chokehold, you have to go beyond that. You have to go into medicine. You got to say, well, I got to find out deeper what that means. Now, when you go into it deeper, you find out that there are two types of lynching. And they are the manual strangulation, which is what a chokehold is, a manual strangulation. And the second is a ligature strangulation, of which most of us are commonly known as lynching.
Rope.
The rope. That's what a ligature strangulation is, a rope. But the reality of it is, Eric Garner died from a lynching. And that lynching was on videotape.
So what they do to the guy who
and the lynching was of such, and this is why the Constitution plays an important role in all of this. Because if you want to be out here dealing in this society, you got to first know the rules of engagement. Even if you don't like the rules of engagement, you got to manipulate the rules of engagement. So in other words, if there's something in the rules of engagement you don't like, then you got to learn how to outfox those rules. Okay, we're gonna talk after this. Okay, so basically, what has happened is that under a lawful arrest, there has to be probable cause. That's in the Fourth Amendment. You know, I tell everybody, when you get ready to go to court the next time, everybody bring a U.S. Constitution with them. All right? That's Bruce.
Don't leave home without it.
Don't leave. You have enough for the whole school?
You have enough for that school? Oh no, not enough for this, but they can have that one.
Don't
give it to the teacher.
Don't leave home without it. You see, you got to know where you're going. You got to know you be prepared for where you're going. So when you come to a courthouse, you got to say, wait a minute, I got to come equipped. You know, just like you go hunting, you got to have a gun. So you come to a courthouse, you got to have this to understand the process. And so in this is the Fourth Amendment. This is the problem with America. America is more committed to what Dred Scott said in Chief Justice Roger Taney's dictum than it is about implementing this. And this is the problem. And some of the things that are resulting from this is the fact that you have the stop, question, and frisk. Anybody heard of stop, question, frisk? Yeah. Anybody in the school ever heard of stop, question, frisk? Well, if you heard of stop, question, frisk, don't just hear it. Be inquisitive about it. Well, why did that come about? See, don't just say, well, I heard stop, question, frisk is something that should be illegal. Then what you need to do is say, well, I'm going to study the legislative history of stop, question, frisk. All right? And when you understand the legislative history of stop, question, frisk, why this is important is that you will now realize the stop, question, and frisk law